Welcome back. Today we're looking at 10 states winning America's migration war, the shocking winners and losers. Now, before anyone starts typing angry comments, this is not a list of the best states in America. Every state has people who swear it's paradise and people who are actively planning their escape. This is about migration. It's about where Americans are moving right now and why some states are attracting thousands of new residents, while others are quietly watching, moving trucks head toward the state line. But here's the interesting part. The states winning today might not be the winners tomorrow, because once everyone discovers the affordable hidden gem, it usually stops being affordable. Traffic appears, home prices explode, developers start building luxury apartments named after whatever used to be on that land. That's happened before. And it's happening again. Stick around until number one because the state taking the top spot is surprising, and it might be America's biggest migration winner heading into the future. Before we begin, tell us in the comments what state you're living in right now and whether you'd stay there or move somewhere else if money wasn't a factor. Let's get started. Number 10, Alabama. For years, Alabama was overlooked. When people talked about moving south, they talked about Florida, Texas, Tennessee, or the Carolinas. Alabama was usually left out of the conversation, but that's changing. Huntsville has become one of the fastest-growing technology and aerospace hubs in America. New industries are arriving, jobs are increasing, and housing remains cheaper than many competing markets. That's a powerful combination. You can still find homes that don't require sacrificing your retirement account, your savings account, and possibly one kidney. The Gulf Coast is attracting retirees, while Birmingham continues serving as an important healthcare and education center. But here's the catch. Growth in Alabama is concentrated in a few areas. Outside those regions, many communities still struggle with poverty, healthcare access, and economic development. Alabama is winning, but it isn't winning everywhere. And that could determine how long this momentum lasts. Number 9. Arizona. Arizona continues pulling in people from expensive western states. The formula is simple. More sunshine, more space, lower taxes than California, and neighborhoods that seem to appear overnight across the desert. Phoenix Mesa, Queen Creek, and Tucson continue attracting families, retirees, and remote workers. For many newcomers, Arizona feels like an opportunity to own a larger home without completely destroying their finances. Plus, winter basically takes a vacation here, but every success story has a warning label. Arizona's biggest challenge is water. You can build more houses, you can widen highways, you can add shopping centers, but creating another Colorado River is significantly harder. Arizona isn't in immediate danger, but future growth depends heavily on long-term water planning. And with millions of new residents arriving, that challenge isn't getting smaller. Number 8, Idaho. Few states experienced a migration boom quite like Idaho. For many Americans, Idaho looked like the last affordable corner of the West. Beautiful mountains, outdoor recreation, smaller communities, less congestion, lower costs. Boise became one of the hottest relocation destinations in the country. People arrived seeking a slower pace of life and more affordable housing, and then something predictable happened. Everyone else had the exact same idea. Home prices surged, competition intensified. Locals started wondering whether they were still living in Idaho or simply a less crowded extension of California. The funny thing is that every state loves migration until the new neighbors actually arrive. Idaho remains attractive, but the affordability advantage that fueled its rise is shrinking fast. If costs continue climbing, some of today's newcomers may eventually become tomorrow's movers. Number 7. Georgia. Georgia has one major advantage: Atlanta. Atlanta is one of America's most powerful economic engines. The city attracts professionals in technology, logistics, healthcare, finance, film production, and countless other industries. People move here because jobs exist, and jobs are still the strongest migration magnet in America. Outside Atlanta, places like Savannah and Augusta continue growing as well. The state offers a mix of economic opportunity and southern affordability that appeals to families and young professionals, at least compared to places like New York or California. But Georgia has a problem, actually millions of problems. They're called cars. Atlanta traffic has become legendary. Some commutes feel less like transportation and more like a long-term relationship. Growth brings opportunity, but it also brings congestion, infrastructure pressure, and rising housing costs. Georgia is still winning. The question is whether it can keep expanding without losing the advantages that made people move there in the first place. Now, if you're enjoying this countdown, take a second to hit the like button. It helps the channel grow and tells us you want more state comparisons just like this one. Let's continue. Number 6. Florida. Florida has been dominating migration rankings for years. The appeal is obvious: no state income tax, warm weather, beaches, retirement communities, boating, golf, and winters that don't involve scraping ice off your windshield. For many Americans, Florida feels like permanent vacation, or at least permanent vacation with a homeowners association. But Florida's migration story is changing. Housing costs have increased dramatically. Insurance costs have become a major concern, and some residents are discovering that paradise occasionally comes with hurricanes and traffic. Lots of traffic. Still, people continue arriving because Florida offers something many northern states simply cannot: January sunshine. As long as winter exists elsewhere, Florida will keep attracting newcomers. But the bargain that fueled its growth isn't nearly as attractive as it once was. Number 5. Tennessee. Tennessee has quietly become one of America's relocation superstars. No state income tax certainly helps. So do the mountains, lakes, music culture, and growing job markets. Nashville receives most of the attention, but Chattanooga and Knoxville are attracting newcomers as well. People see Tennessee as a place where quality of life and affordability still intersect, at least for now. The state appeals to families, retirees, entrepreneurs, and remote workers looking for a fresh start. It represents a version of the American dream that still feels attainable, but success creates new challenges. Nashville isn't cheap anymore. Traffic is getting worse. Housing costs continue rising, and some communities are beginning to experience the same growing pains that transformed other boom states. Tennessee is still winning. It's just discovering that winning sometimes comes with expensive consequences. Number 4. Utah. Utah has become one of the strongest growth stories in the Mountain West. The state combines strong job markets with extraordinary scenery. People move here for the mountains, the outdoor recreation, the family-friendly communities, and the economic opportunities. Places like Salt Lake City, Provo, and St. George have experienced impressive growth. Utah offers something many Americans want: a balance between opportunity and lifestyle. But here's where things get complicated: housing. Utah's housing market has become significantly more expensive. Many areas that once felt affordable now look surprisingly similar to other high-growth Western states. The state's popularity has created pressure on roads, neighborhoods, and housing supply. Utah remains one of America's migration winners, but it's no longer the hidden bargain it once was. Before we reveal the top 3, subscribe if you enjoy geography, migration trends, state comparisons, and the stories shaping where Americans choose to live, because the next 3 states might surprise you. Number 3, Texas. Texas continues operating on a completely different scale. The state has massive job markets, major industries, growing cities, no state income tax, and enough economic diversity to attract people from every corner of the country. Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio. Each offers a different lifestyle and opportunity. Texas has become the default destination for Americans seeking growth and possibility. Everything feels bigger: the homes, the highways, the economy, the confidence, sometimes even the traffic. But Texas faces growing challenges. Property taxes remain high, infrastructure faces pressure, housing costs are rising in desirable areas, and some regions struggle with water and energy concerns. Texas isn't slowing down anytime soon, but the state is learning that massive growth creates massive responsibilities. Number 2, North Carolina. North Carolina might be the most balanced state on this list. Mountains, beaches, universities, healthcare, technology, banking, military communities. The state offers something for almost everyone. Charlotte attracts corporate professionals. The Research Triangle attracts technology and research talent. Asheville attracts mountain lovers. Wilmington attracts coastal dreamers. North Carolina isn't selling one lifestyle, it's selling multiple lifestyles. That's a powerful advantage. The state has become one of the most desirable destinations in America. But that's exactly where the problem begins. Desirable places become expensive places. Housing prices continue increasing, traffic continues growing, and many former bargains are disappearing. North Carolina is still winning. In fact, it may be one of the biggest winners in America, but its future success depends on managing growth without destroying the qualities that attracted people in the first place. And that brings us to number 1, South Carolina. While everyone talks about Texas, Florida, and North Carolina, South Carolina has quietly become one of the most impressive migration success stories in the country. The state occupies a sweet spot: lower costs than many northeastern states, warmer weather, growing job markets, expanding retirement communities, and a lifestyle that appeals to families, retirees, and remote workers alike. Greenville has emerged as a major growth center. Charleston continues attracting newcomers despite rising costs. The coastal areas remain popular with retirees. and smaller inland communities are benefiting from spillover growth. What's especially impressive is that South Carolina isn't relying on one city. Multiple regions are expanding simultaneously. That's rare, and it's incredibly powerful. People from New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Massachusetts, California, and other high-cost states are increasingly looking towards South Carolina as a realistic alternative. But here's the warning. The same forces driving growth today could create tomorrow's problems. Housing prices are rising. Development is accelerating. Infrastructure will face increasing pressure. The hidden gem phase is ending. And that's exactly why South Carolina takes the #1 spot. It's still affordable enough to attract newcomers, still desirable enough to maintain momentum, and still underappreciated enough that many Americans haven't fully noticed what's happening. Yet the biggest lesson from today's list is simple. Migration isn't just about where people are leaving, it's about where opportunity still exists. The winners attract residents because they offer a combination of affordability, jobs, lifestyle, and hope. The losers often struggle because they've become too expensive, too crowded, or too difficult for ordinary families to build a future. But history shows that today's winners can become tomorrow's cautionary tales. The question is, which of these states can manage their success before growth becomes their biggest problem? What do you think? Which state deserves to be higher on this list? Which state doesn't belong at all? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe because we've got more state comparisons, migration trends, and fascinating stories about America's changing population coming your way. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.